And okay, so they have given pre-stressing force 235 kilonewton, and the length of the beam is 8 meters, right? Span is 8 meters, which they have given, and the live load is given as 4 kilonewton per meter, 4 kilonewton per meter. Also, along with this, so area of the cross section, right? We need to find the area of the section. So it is an I section, and all the dimensions I've shown you, right? It is a symmetric I section. So YT and YB will be same. So that is what I've shown at the right hand side of the figure, right? So you can see YT is 200 and YB is also 200 because the section is symmetric. Okay. So not like the previous one wherein the section was not symmetric. In here we have a symmetric section. So area, finding out the area. So the flange section is 200 mm in width and 60 mm in depth, you can see. So but that is 2 in number, 2 flange we have. So into 2 plus your web, right? Web is 280 into 80. So 280 is the depth and 80 is the width. So we get the area that is 46400 mm squared. So moving on to your moment of inertia calculation, that is I. So I, you can see it is BD cube by 12 minus BD cube by 12. So what we do is, you can see in this right hand figure, we calculate the total depth. Sorry. Okay. So you can see that I is BD cube by 12. You can see that is the gross section. Okay. What we do is we consider an entire cross section, like a rectangular cross section, that is 200 mm in width and 400 mm in depth, right? We consider it as a rectangular section, and from that we minus our gap. Okay, what is the gap in between our flanges, right? In between our flanges. So that gap is how much? So that gap is how much? 280 mm in depth. Okay, that gap is 280 mm in depth and 120 mm in width, right? From that 200 mm, right? 200 mm. If you minus your flange, your web thickness, right? Web thickness, that is 80 mm. You get your gap width, that is 120. So 120 into 280 cube by 12. So that is your gap, right? That forms a rectangular. So I will be equal to 200 into 400 cube by 12 minus your gap, that is 120 into 280 cube by 12. So the moment of inertia that we get for this section is 847.14 into 10 power 6. Okay, so I hope this I calculation is clear. So because the section is now symmetric about your x-axis, right? It is symmetric about our x-axis. So your yt will be equal to yb, that is for 200 and 200 mm. I've told you. If that is equal, then your sectional modulus will also be equal, right? Sectional modulus will also be equal. That is z is equals to I by y. Then I, if you divide by 200, right? I value, if you divide by 200, you will get sectional modulus z, that is equal to 4.23 into 10 power 6 mm cube. Right. I hope this initial calculation is clear, and if you have any doubts, you are free to ask anytime. Okay, so moving on. So next thing that we need to calculate is the case one, right? Two cases which we have been given with. So first thing, in the first case I've told you, we need to find the eccentricity, right? We need to find the eccentricity, and that is required at your midspan, okay, midspan. So we need to calculate all the bending moments at your midspan, right? Due to self weight and due to live load, like the previous numericals. The same way we calculate the bending moments at the midspan. So due to self weight, your self weight, right? Self weight we need to calculate. So self weight, how we calculate? Cross sectional area into your density of concrete, right? So cross sectional area we have calculated, that is multiplied by 24, which is your density of concrete. So we get the WD, that is your self weight, is equals to 1.11 kilonewton per meter. And your moment due to self weight, MD, right? MD is equals to WD L square by 8. So that is your simply supported, right? Beam is simply supported. So it will, at the midspan, your bending moment will be WL squared by 8. So you get your MD value as 8.88 kilonewton meter. So next bending moment is due to live load, right? Due to live load. So WL they have given as 4 kilonewton per meter, which is given live load. And similarly, you calculate as you have calculated for self weight, you calculate bending moment ML, that is equal to 32 kilonewton meter. Okay, so I hope this bending moment calculation is clear. Next, moving on to bottom fiber stresses, right? Bottom fiber. So as they have given in the problem statement, that the bottom fiber stresses, that the bottom fiber stresses is equal to 0, right? At the midspan, bottom fiber stresses at the midspan is equal to 0. So we equate it to 0 as I've shown in this equation, you can see. So we substitute all the values, that is we substitute P, then A, then MD, Z, ML, all these values we substitute, and the only unknown thing here is your eccentricity E. You can see in the last term, the only unknown thing is E, right? So eccentricity. So solving for eccentricity, we get it as 82 mm, okay, approximately 82 mm. So this is for your for a first case wherein we have calculated the eccentricity E. Okay. So if there is any doubt regarding the calculation of eccentricity, you can let me know, or else we will move on to the next case. To the next case, that is we need to find the pre-stressing force. Okay, we need to find the pre-stressing force when the tendon is concentric, right? They have told that the tendon is concentric, meaning the eccentricity will be 0, right? Eccentricity will be 0. And the statement they have given is at the center span, the bottom fiber stress is equal to 0. So that is also provided in your question. So these two are provided, that is E0 and FB is equal to 0 at center span. So similarly, we have substituted that in the formula, right? We have substituted that in formula and equated it to 0. So the only unknown thing over here is your pre-stressing force P. Okay, pre-stressing force P is unknown. So solving for P, you get your pre-stressing force approximately equal to 448 kilonewton. Okay, 448 kilonewton. So this is your fourth numerical. If you have any doubts regarding any of the terms or how you solve this, you can let me know. Okay, or else we will move on to the next numerical. I hope this was clear. It was very easy, right? Very easy numerical.
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. 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 So we will move on to the fifth numerical, right? Fifth numerical. Right. It is an easy one, wherein you can see it is a rectangular, simply supported concrete beam, right? Rectangular, not an I section, but a rectangular section, cross sectional. It is rectangular in cross section, and it is 300 mm deep and 200 mm wide. Okay. So it is pre-stressed by means of 15 wires of 5 mm dia, right? It is pre-stressed by means of 15 wires of 5 mm dia. So all in the previous examples, all the wires were single in number, right? They were only single in number. So here we have 15 wires, okay? We have 15 wires of 5 mm dia located at 6.5 centimeters from the bottom of the beam, okay? Let me just show you the diagram. So you can see at the bottom, we have 15 number of 5 mm dia bars, okay, located at 6.5 centimeters from the bottom of the beam, okay, you can see in the diagram. So that is what is given. At the bottom, you can see 15 hash 5 mm dia I have shown, and they are located at 6.5 centimeters from the bottom of the beam. So that is what is given. Then the next thing is, and 3 wires of 5 mm dia, right? And 3 wires of 5 mm dia located 2.5 centimeters from the top. Okay, we have 3 wires of 5 mm dia located at 2.5 centimeters from the top. You can see, observe here, we have the 3 hash 5 dia located at 2.5 centimeters from the top of the beam. So we have two types of steel here, at the top and also at the bottom. Okay, so that is a different thing in this numerical. So next thing that they have given, assuming the pre-stress in steel as 840 Newton per mm square. Okay, assuming the pre-stress in steel as 840 Newton per mm squared, calculate the stresses at the midspan when beam is supporting its own weight over a span of 6 meters. So the span is 6 meter, and we have to calculate the stresses at the midspan. Okay, at the midspan. And the UDL, that the live load UDL that they have given is 6 kilonewton per meter. Okay, live load is 6 kilonewton per meter. And what we need to calculate also, we have to evaluate the max working stress in concrete. Okay, evaluate the max working stress in concrete. So this is a solution wherein first we will write whatever is given. So length of the beam or the span of the beam is given as 6 meters, that we have written, and the dimension of our beam, that is 200 mm in wide and 300 mm in depth. So the cross sectional area will be 60,000 mm squared. Okay, cross sectional area we have calculated. The live load that they have provided is 6 kilonewton per meter, right? And this is the cross sectional diagram which you need to draw. This is the cross sectional diagram which you need to draw, and you need to mention the different types of steel and their eccentricities. Okay, so all the eccentricity that, sorry, not the eccentricity, but the location that they have given is from the soffit of the beam and from the top of the beam. Okay, so what we have to calculate? We have to calculate eccentricity first, right? Eccentricity is not given, and we have to calculate that first. So before that, we need to calculate YT and YB, right? Because it is a rectangular section, right? YT will be equal to YB, right? YT will be equal to YB. That is 150 mm and 150 mm, right? So no doubt in calculation of YT and YB, because the CGC is at the center of the depth of your beam. So YT and YB are equal, that is equal to 150 mm. So next thing, so in the previous numericals only we had only one tendon, right? Only we had one tendon. So wherever the location of your tendon was, right, in the previous problem, wherever your tendon was located, that was the location of your CGS, right? A CG of your steel, because we had only one tendon. But here we have two tendons, right? At the top we have, and also at the bottom. So your CGC will be not at any of the location, but it will be somewhere in between, right? Somewhere in between, depending upon the number and the dia of your steel. So what we need to do is we need to calculate the location of your CGS. Okay, CGS, that is what is given here. So to find CGS, we can use the formula, that is y bar is equals to summation of AY by summation of A. Okay, from from bottom of the beam. So what we will do, we will calculate from the bottom of the beam. Okay, we will calculate from the bottom of the beam. So this is the same formula which we had used to calculate the cross-sectional, the location of CGC in the previous numerical, right? We have the location of CGC, but in this numerical, what we are doing, we are using the same formula to calculate the location of CGS. Okay, so we will calculate it from the bottom of the beam. Okay, we will calculate it from the bottom of the beam. So we are dealing with steel over here. We are dealing with steel, not with concrete. Okay, not with concrete. So keep that in mind. So first thing, starting from bottom. Okay, starting from bottom. So how many bars we have? So first calculate. The first term is what? Summation AY. Okay, in a numerator you can see the first term is summation AY. So calculating area of the bars, right? Pi by 4 into d square, that is pi by 4 into phi, phi square, that is dia of your bar, into number of bars. Okay, into number of bars, that is 15. So that is in your first bracket, multiplied by your location. Okay, multiplied the location of the bars from the bottom or from the soffit. So that is given as 6.5 centimeters. So it will be 65 mm, right? AY we have calculated for the bottom bars. A into Y we have calculated for the bottom bars, plus, okay, plus AY for the top bars. AY for the top bars, similarly we have to calculate. So pi by 4 into phi square into 3 number of bars. Okay, into 3 number of bars multiplied by Y. Y is the distance of the centroid of the bars from the bottom of the beam. Okay, from the bottom of the beam. So that will be equal to 300 minus 2.5, right? Minus 2.5 centimeters. So that will be what? 275 mm. 275 mm. So I hope that is clear. So divided by the total area, that is pi by 4 into phi square, that is a diameter of a bar, into total number of bars, that is 18, right? 15 at the bottom bar, 15 bars at the bottom, and 3 bars at the top. So that will be equal to 18 number of bars. So a total area will be pi by 4 into d square into total number of bars. So that is how you get your CGS, okay, from the bottom of your beam. So y bar from the bottom of your beam is equals to 100 mm. Okay, 100 mm. So that is what I have shown over here. You can see y bar at the bottom of your beam is 100 mm. From the bottom of your beam is 100 mm. So CGC is located at 150 mm from the bottom of the beam, right? 150 mm from the bottom of the beam, and CGS that we have calculated now is located at 100 mm from the bottom of the beam. So what is eccentricity now? Can anyone tell what is the eccentricity? Eccentricity of the
50, sir.
50.
right? 50. So eccentricity is what? It is the vertical distance between your CGS and your CGC. Okay, remember, always remember that it is the vertical distance between CGS and CGC which I have drawn over here. So eccentricity will be equal to 50 mm, correct? Whatever you have told is correct. So it is, you can see here 150 minus 100, which is equal to 50 mm. So we have calculated CGS, we have calculated eccentricity. Now the next thing that we need to calculate is your self weights and your moments, right? We need to calculate all those things.
Sir, your voice is not hearing, sir. Hello, sir. Sir. Hello.
Okay, so I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me, students?
Yes,
Let
sir.
me know whether you can
Yes, sir.
hear me.
Now we can.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we continue then.
Yes,
You can
sir.
see the screen, right? You can see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
So the next thing that we need to calculate, as I've told you, is the stresses at top fiber and the stresses at bottom fiber, right? Stresses at top fiber and at bottom fiber. And these stresses are, remember, they are at the mid span. Okay, they are at the mid span. So similarly, I have written the formula over here, that is P by A plus MD by Z plus ML by Z minus PE by Z. So why those are plus and minus, I have explained in the previous class. Okay, why the moments bending stresses are positive and why the pre-stressing pre-stressing the term, that is the last term, is negative. I have explained it in the previous class. So substituting all these values which we have calculated, okay, we have to substitute all this, and we can calculate the stresses at the top fiber. That is the resultant stress is equal to, you can see it is 11.16 Newton per mm squared. Okay, so that is the stress at top fiber. Similarly, we have to calculate the stress at bottom fiber.
Excuse me, sir.
Right, the stress at
Sir,
bottom.
this
Yes.
step comes after eccentricity, right? So
Which
this
step?
stress is at top fiber, sir.
After eccentricity,
Hello.
right? We are calculating after eccentricity.
Yeah, okay, sir. Okay.
So first we need to calculate eccentricity, right? We have calculated all these things, right? We have calculated eccentricity. And only after calculating eccentricity, you can substitute that in this P by E term, right? P into E by Z. So that is all of these terms we have calculated. We have calculated P value, pre-stressing force, E value we have calculated, all the moments we have calculated, then sectional modulus we have calculated. All of these we have calculated and substituted here. So stress at bottom fiber, similarly, it will be similar, but only changes your sign. Okay, you can just observe FT and FB value. The magnitude is same, right? All the values are same. Only the signs have changed. Only the sign have changed from plus to minus. Okay, so the resultant stress, you can see it is minus 1.26 Newton per mm squared at the bottom fiber, meaning it is a tensile. Okay, tensile forces are generated, or tensile stresses are generated at the bottom fiber, and compressive forces are generated at the top fiber because it is plus. Okay, resultant stress is plus. So stress distribution diagram, you can try to draw it as a homework, right? I have given you all the values, and remember to draw the stress diagrams in your exam. Okay, do not forget to draw this stress distribution diagrams, even if they have not mentioned in the question. Okay, even if they have not mentioned it in the question. So whenever you are solving for this stress concept, okay, you have to draw the stress diagrams, even if it is a rough diagram, right? With your pen, so you can draw it. No need to use a scale. Okay. So, but compulsorily make sure that you draw the stress diagram. So that carries marks. So moving on
Sir,
to next
screen is not
question.
visible.
Screen is not visible.
Yes, sir.
Sir, it is visible, sir.
Visible.
Sir,
Others
visible, sir.
visible.
Visible, sir.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Voice
Some
is
problem with
not
your
clear, sir.
you can just join back once more if anyone is having a problem. So you can see, we can move to the next problem, that is the sixth numerical here. You see, it is a previous year question paper problem. You can see it is the December January question paper problem of 2020. Okay, so it is an important problem.
Sir, voice is
Sir,
low.
your mic, sir. Sir, adjust your mic.
Sir, sometimes high and sometimes low, sir.
Sir, adjust your mic, sir.
Okay, so is it clear now? Are you able to hear me properly now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir.
sir. Now it's
Whether you
okay.
can hear. Okay, okay. So this is the sixth numerical which we will be solving, and as you can see, it is a question paper numerical of your December January 2020. Okay, so make sure you understand this properly. So here a pre-stressed concrete beam. Okay, it is an inverted T section. Okay, inverted T section. Let me just show you the diagram. So it is in this formula, in this fashion. Okay, it is an inverted T. Okay, inverted T. So the dimensions of your inverted T are given. Like your rib is given as 300 by 900 mm. So what do you mean by rib is, it is nothing but your web. Okay, it is your width. So it is 300 mm in width and 900 mm in depth. Okay, so rib is also very thick. It is like 300 thickness, okay, and it is almost a meter in height, okay, almost a meter in height. It is a very big beam section. So coming to our flange, it is 300 wide, at 300 wide, and it is sorry, it is 300 in thickness, and it is 600 wide. Okay, so that is what is given over here. You can see. So this is your T section. So as I've told you, the web is 300 in thickness and 900 in depth, and the flange you can see it is 300 in thickness and 600 in depth. Okay, so now let us read the next thing. So the beam is simply supported. Okay, it is a simply supported beam, and the span is 15 meters. So capital L is equals to 15 meters. Then the beam is post tensioned. Okay, it is a post tension beam with three Fresinet cables. Okay, three Fresinet cables, which you can see in the diagram here. I have shown in red color. So it is having three cables. Okay, three cables with each containing 12 wires. Okay, each of this cable. Okay, each of this cable is made up of 12 wires. Okay, 12 wires. 12 wires of 7 dia. Okay, 12 wires of 7 dia placed at 150 from the soffit of the beam at midspan. So you can see I have shown three cables, right? Three cables, and each of this cable has 12 bars in it. Okay, each of this cable has 12 wires in it, and each of the wire is 7 in diameter. Okay, so what is the total number of wires that are present now? Can anyone tell what is the total number of wires that are present?
36, sir.
36, right? Correct. So 12 into 3, right? 12 into 3, what is that is what we have done. So 36 number of wires are present, and if you ask me how many number of cables, I have to tell 3 number of cables. Okay, 3 number of cables, and each cable is having 12 wires in it. So as they have told, the cables are located at 150 from the soffit of the beam. Okay, they are located at 150 from the soffit of the beam. So let us look into what next they have given. So the initial pre-stress is 1 kilonewton per mm². Okay, the initial pre-stress is 1 kilonewton per mm². And now what we have to calculate is we have to calculate the maximum UDL that it can carry. Okay, we have to calculate what is the UDL it can carry. If the maximum compressive stress in concrete, okay, if the maximum compressive stress in concrete is limited to 15 megapascal, okay, 15 megapascal, that is 15 Newton per mm². Okay, megapascal is equal to Newton per mm². And tensile stress is limited to 1 megapascal. Okay, so they have given us some limits of compressive stress and tensile stress in concrete. Okay, so that we need to consider, and using these values, what we can do is we can calculate the maximum UDL that it can carry, meaning the maximum live load. Okay, maximum live load which it can carry, that we can calculate. So initial pre-stress, you can see it is given in stress. Okay, it is not given in force. So here you can observe, because it is given in stress, that is kilonewton per mm², we need to convert that to kilonewton. We need to convert that to kilonewton. And to convert that to kilonewton, what we have to multiply? We have to multiply the area of steel. Okay, area of steel. So that is what you can remember. And the last statement you can read that they have given is a loss of pre-stress. We can assume it as 15%. Okay, a loss of pre-stress we can assume as 15%. So that is also one thing you need to consider while substituting your p value. Okay, p value, because the loss is 50%, 15, sorry, 15%, 15%. The effective pre-stress, okay, effective pre-stress will be 85%, right? 85%, that is 100 minus 50. So that we need to consider while substituting your p value, right? P value in your form. So this is what the stress diagram is, right? Which they have mentioned, right? The limiting stresses, right? The compressive stress in your beam, it is in your concrete, sorry, it is given as 15 megapascal. That is positive because we consider it as positive, right? Compressive forces as positive, and tensile forces are limited to 1 megapascal. Okay, so that is why we represent it as negative. So next thing that we need to calculate. So this is all the given thing, right? Length is 15 meters. Loss of pre-stress is 15%. And this is the cross-sectional area, which is we multiply the flange width and the rib width and thickness. So we get your cross-sectional area. Next thing we need to calculate is your location of your CGC. Okay, location of your CGC we need to calculate because location of CGS. Okay, location of CGS, that is location of your CG of your steel. It will be at 150 mm, right? 150 mm from the bottom, because we have all the steel in line. Okay, in line. So we need to calculate now what we need to calculate CGC. So the location of CGC we will calculate from the bottom. Okay, from the bottom part we will calculate. So similar, it's the same formula we will be using. That is summation AY by summation Y. So summation from the bottom we are calculating. So Y bar B. Okay, Y bar B. So we will start with the bottom flange. Okay, bottom flange, that is 300 by 600, right? 300 into 600 into your this thing, what, Y. Okay, into Y. Sorry, it is not the bottom flange. It is not the bottom flange. It is this web. Okay, it is the web. We will start from the web. So 300 by 900 plus, okay, the centroid. The centroid is located where of this section? It is located at 300 plus 900 by 2, right? 300 from the bottom. If you calculate 300 plus 900 by 2, so that is where the Y is located, right? So that is what we have written here. You can see. Next for the bottom flange. It is area multiplied by your Y. So area is 600 by 300. Area is 600 by 300, and the location of your centroid of this section is 150, right? It is located at 150 mm from the bottom. So that is what we have written, and divided by summation A. Sorry, here I have written as summation Y. It is not summation Y, it is summation A. So 300 by 900 plus 300 by 600, which is the area of your flange and your web. So calculating this, we get the Y bar, that is your location of CGC from the bottom of your beam as 510 mm. Okay, 510 mm. So you can see I have mentioned it over here. So from the bottom of the beam, your YB is 510 mm. And if you just reduce from the total depth of your beam, if you minus 510, you will get YT. Okay, you will get YT. So YT is 690 and YB is 510. So next thing that we can calculate now is your eccentricity, right? Eccentricity we can calculate. So it is located where it is from the vertical distance from CGC to CGS. Okay. So how much is it? It is 510, right? 510, that is YB minus 150, right? YB is 510 minus 150 will give you your eccentricity. So that is how you calculate your eccentricity. So it is 360. Okay, eccentricity is 360 mm. Next, so initial stress is given as 1 kilonewton per mm square, right? Initial stress. So next we need to calculate the area of the steel. So this is how you calculate area of steel. I have told you 3 number of cables multiplied by 12 number of wires. That is, you have told me 36, right? Total 36 number of wires multiplied by area of one wire. That is 5 by 4 into 7 square. So 7 is the diameter of your wire. So that is how you get your area of your steel. And if you multiply this to your initial stress, you get your initial pre-stressing force. So stress into cross-sectional area of steel. So get a initial pre-stressing force as 1385.44 kilonewton. So we have calculated pre-stressing force. Next, we know what we need to calculate. We need to calculate the moment of inertia. So to calculate the moment of inertia of a unsymmetric section, okay, we need to use this formula. Okay, so this is about x-axis. Okay. So I is equals to Ixx plus Ah square. So Ixx, we will start with what? We will start this with the bottom. We will start with the bottom flange. We will start with bottom flange. So Ixx of the bottom flange, it is 600 into 300 cube by 12. Okay, 600 by 300 cube by 12. So that is Ixx plus A into H square, right? Ixx plus A into H square. So A is nothing but your cross-sectional area of that section. So cross-sectional area is 600 into 300 multiplied by h. So h is what? H is what? H is the distance from your CGC, to the centroid of your section. Okay. Distance of your CGC to the centroid of your section. So the centroid will be where? It will be at 150 from the bottom, right? It will be 150 from the bottom. So from the CGC minus 150, that is how you calculate your h. Right. So you can see for the first or the bottom section, you can observe it is 600 into 300 cube by 12 that I've told you, Ixx, plus area of the section, that is 600 into 300 into h square, that is from the CGC you have to calculate the distance up to your centroid of your concerned section. So it is 500 minus 150 the whole square. So moving on to the web, right? Moving on to web. So we know the web is 300 mm in thickness and 900 in depth. Okay, so 300 into 900 cube by 12. Okay, 300 into 900 cube by 12 plus area of the section into your h. So h will be what? H will be from the CGC. I've told you from the CGC, the distance from your CGC to the centroid of that section. So that will be equal to 690, right? YT is 690 minus 450. That is, you can see here. So your CG of your section of this web section is where 900. So it is 900 in depth, right? So CG of this section will be at 450. Okay, 450. So from YT, that is 690. If you minus this 450, right? If you minus this 450, you will get your h value. That is what we have written over here. So you get your h value, and that is whole squared. Okay, a h the whole squared. So you get your total I value, that is moment of inertia of the section, as 5.84 into 10 power 10 mm raised to 4. So I hope this is clear. If you have any doubts up till now, you can just let me know. Okay. So in the calculation of YB or in the calculation of pre-stressing force, or you have any doubts regarding this moment of inertia calculation, you can let me know. Okay. So because your YT and YB are different, no? Because the YT and YB are different, so the sectional modulus will not be same. So the sectional modulus we have to calculate separately, that is ZT, and ZB we have to calculate separately. So I we have calculated. So I by YT will give you ZT, and I by YB will give you ZB. Okay. So that is sectional modulus. Now moving on to dead load or self-weight of the beam. Dead load or self-weight of the beam. So how do we calculate that? So we multiply the total area of the section by the density of concrete. Okay, total area of the cross section multiplied by density of concrete, you get the self-weight of the beam. And if you want to calculate the bending moment, right? Bending moment at midspan due to this dead load, it is WDL squared by 8. So substituting these values, right? The span of the beam is 15 meters, and WD we have calculated as 10.8. So substituting that, we get the bending moment due to self-weight, bending moment due to self-weight at midspan is equals to 303.75 kilonewton meter. So the effective pre-stress, right? I've told you there is some amount of loss, that is 15% we have lost into losses, right? We have 15% losses. So the effective pre-stress will be 85%, right? Only 85% will be left as the effective pre-stress. So how do we calculate now effective pre-stress? So I will denote it as P suffix E. Okay, P suffix E, which is effective. Okay, effective pre-stress PE is equals to 0.85 into P. Okay, 0.85 into P. So 0.85 into your pre-stressing force that we have calculated, that is 1385. If you multiply, you get your effective pre-stressing force. So in the formula, while calculating your top fiber and bottom fiber, you can see that I have used PE, okay, effective pre-stress, and I have not used the initial pre-stress, capital P. I have used effective pre-stress. Okay, remember this. If they give you losses, then you have to consider effective pre-stress while calculation. So at the top fiber, right, at the top fiber, FT, so they have given that the maximum or the maximum stress that can occur in compressive at the top fiber as 15 Newton per mm square, right? You can observe in your question. Let me just scroll up. So you can observe here that they have given the top fiber stresses as 15 megapascal, right? 15, and at the bottom it is 1 megapascal. Okay, so remember, at top it is 15 and bottom it is 1 megapascal. So that is why we have to equate this to 15. Okay, so top fiber, as you can observe that I have written the formula and I have equated it to 15 because that is the limit in the concrete, okay, of the stress. So substituting all these values, all the values, so substituting PE, capital A, that is your cross-sectional, and moments, and your Z value, sectional modulus at the top fiber, we have calculated. So substituting all these values, so we can calculate what? We can calculate the live load. The live load we have to calculate, right? ML value. You can see all the values are known, only the ML value is unknown, right? In the question, what they have mentioned, in the question they have mentioned that we need to calculate the maximum UDL that it can carry, right? The maximum UDL that it can carry, meaning we have to calculate the live load. So ML value is unknown. So substituting all these values and we can calculate your ML value. Okay. And the ML value is equal to what? It is equal to 1167 kilonewton meter. So we have calculated ML value, that is moment due to live load. Similarly, to calculate your UDL, right? We have calculated moment due to live load. Now what we have to calculate? We have to calculate the UDL, that is your WL we have to calculate. So we know this is the formula to calculate your live load, right? ML is equals to WL into L squared by 8. So WL we know, the only unknown here is, ML we know, ML we have calculated, WL is unknown. So substituting all the values, we get the live load that it can carry, right? The live load that it can carry as 41.5 kilonewton per meter. Okay. So the live load, the maximum live load that this beam can carry is 41.5 kilonewton per meter. So this is the first part of your question. Okay, so we have solved the first part of your question. So if you have any doubts regarding this, you can let me know. So this is an important problem. So make sure it is clear. So moving on. So this is how you calculate all these things. So now at the stress at the bottom fiber, right? Stress at the bottom fiber. So I have written the formula. And I have equated it to -1, right? So which is given. So I have equated it to -1, which is given. So here we can calculate the ML, right? We have to calculate the live load also. Similarly, how we have calculated at the top fiber, similarly we have to calculate it for the bottom fiber. So ML we have substituted all the values and only unknown value is ML, right? Moment due to live load, and that we have calculated over here. So moment due to live load is 534.71 kilonewton meter. And similarly, substituting that in your formula for calculation of live moment due to live load, we can calculate the maximum UDL that it can carry. Okay, the maximum UDL that it can carry. So it is 19 kilonewton per meter. Okay, 19 kilonewton per meter. When the stress is at the bottom fiber, is -1. Okay, stress at the bottom fiber is -1. So this is the first value. Yes.
Sir, your voice is sometimes low and sometimes high, sir.
Volume. You mean by volume, right?
Sir.
Okay, I'll try to hold the mic nearby. Okay, so we have calculated WL, right? We have calculated WL by compressive force. So from compressive force that you can calculate we have calculated the live load that it can carry as 41.5. So I have marked that as 1. Okay, I have marked that as 1. So and due to your tensile stress limit, so you can see I have marked this as W. I have marked this as 2. So the live load it can carry, it is 19. So among this, which is the limiting value, which we will be using as the limiting value? Will you be using as 41.5 as the limiting value, or will you be using 19 kilonewton per meter as the limiting value?
19, sir.
Right. Why is the reason that you are using 19 kilonewton per meter?
Sir, because it is
right. You can explain that. Right. So we have to adopt least value. Okay. Among these two, we have to adopt the least value. because if we adopt a 41.5, right, which is greater than your 19 kilonewton. So what will happen if you adopt a 41.5? So the stress at the bottom fiber, right? The stress at the bottom fiber will be more, okay, will be more than your limit value, okay, will be more than your limit value. That is what is given as 1 megapascal, right? So the limiting value will be exceeded by if you use your 41.5. So what we have to do, we have to use the least value among these two. So from 1 and 2, we can say that the maximum value of UDL allowed is 19 kilonewton per meter. Okay, 19 kilonewton per meter. That is your live load. So that the stress, it does not exceed the tensile and compressive stress limits. So after you you calculate your UDLs, you have to mention this statement. Okay, do not forget to mention this statement. Why you have adopted 19 kilonewton per meter? You have to mention that. So this is regarding your numerical, which was your previous 2020 paper numerical with the inverted T section. So if you have any doubts, you can just let me know whether you have any doubts. Get it clarified now. Also, if you need a break, you can let me know. We can have a break of 5 minutes, or else if you want, I can continue.
You can continue, sir.
So we will continue with the next numerical. So after this, remaining numericals are almost easy compared to this numerical. So this was a bit lengthy, right? Wherein you have to calculate a CG value, then you have to calculate your moment of inertia value. So it is a bit lengthy compared to the other numericals. But the calculation of your moment, right? Calculation of your stresses at top fiber and bottom fiber is very easy. So moving on to your next numerical.
Circular concrete beam 250 mm wide and 600 mm deep is pre-stressed by means of four 14 mm dia high tensile bars located 200 mm from the soffit of the beam. If the effective stress in the wires is 700 Newton per mm square, what is the maximum bending moment that can be applied to the section without causing tension at the soffit of the beam?
Okay, thank you. So it is a rectangular section. So YT will be equal to YB, right? So much of our calculation is reduced. And they have given 4 bars of 14 mm dia. Okay, 4 bars of 14 mm dia. And it is located 200 mm from the soffit of the beam. So eccentricity is not given. So we need to calculate eccentricity first. And then effective stress in the Ys is given. Okay, so 700 Newton per mm squared. And the effective pre-stress is not given. So how do you get your P value? How do you get your P value? I have explained this yesterday. How can you get your P value from this effective stress?
Area into stress, sir.
Yav area?
Bar area, sir.
Yes, so correct. So this 700 Newton per mm squared, you have to multiply that by area of steel. So you will get your effective pre-stressing force. Okay, effective pre-stressing force. So they have asked us what is the maximum bending moment that can be applied, meaning the maximum UDL it can carry. Okay, live load that sorry, not the bending moment, not the live load, but we have to calculate the maximum bending moment caused due to the live load. Okay, and the condition that they have given is it should not cause any tension at the soffit of the beam, meaning FB value, the stress that we calculate at the bottom, should be equal to 0. Okay, so that condition you can apply and you can calculate the moment, a maximum bending moment that it can carry. Okay, so this is a homework problem. You can try it at home. Okay, so answers also I have given at the right hand side. Okay, right hand bottom corner I have given you the answers. You can verify that. So I hope this is clear. So moving on to the next one. So this is a rectangle. Okay, so this is a rectangular concrete beam. A rectangular concrete beam, 100 mm by 250 mm, spanning over 8 meters. So it is length is 8 meters. Then pre-stressed by a straight cable. Okay, no problem. Straight cable is given. Then effective pre-stressing force is given directly. So no need to worry. Directly they have given the effective pre-stressing force 250 kilonewton. So it is located at an eccentricity of 40 mm. So eccentricity is also given directly. So eccentricity is also given directly as 40 mm. So all of the things are given directly. Much of our calculation is reduced. So the beam supports a live load of 1.2 kilonewton per meter. 1.2 kilonewton per meter, that is WL, right? Live load. So we have to calculate the resultant stresses at the central cross section. Okay, at the midspan we need to calculate, and the density of concrete is given. Okay, so even if they not give, you can just assume it as 24 kilonewton per meter cube. So can anyone tell me what is the density of your reinforced concrete? Okay, what is the density of your reinforced concrete? Reinforced concrete density. So this is for plain concrete, right? Anyone has any idea? What about the density of concrete of your reinforced concrete? So it is assumed to be 25 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay, 25 kilonewton per meter cube. So here we do not have any extra reinforcement, right? Apart from your pre-stressing steel. So we consider the density of concrete as 24 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay, I hope that is clear. So the second case, that is your second case, what we need to do is we need to find the magnitude of pre-stressing force. That is, we need to calculate your capital P. Okay, capital P, that is your pre-stressing force. We need to calculate with an eccentricity of 40 mm. So eccentricity is same, you can observe here. So the eccentricity is not changing. So that is not of our concern, which can balance the stresses due to dead load and live load. So it is a combination of dead load and live load. So what is this stage called as? Can anyone recall what is this stage called, wherein you have the dead load as well as your live load? Anyone can recall which what is this case called as, wherein you have your dead load? At transfer you have only dead loads. Okay, at transfer you have only dead loads, or what you call as self-weight. Yes, working state is what we call as wherein we have your dead load as well as your live load. So it is your working stage. Okay, working stage what we call, or else we can call it as service stage also. Okay, service stage, wherein your beam is into service and you have a dead load as well as your live load. So depending upon the case, you have to choose whether you are applying only dead load or whether you are applying dead load plus live load. So depending upon which stage your beam is currently under. So next condition that they have given is the bottom fiber at the central section of the beam. Okay, we have to balance the bottom fiber stresses. Okay, we have to balance the bottom fiber stresses at the central section. So keep in mind all these conditions which they have given. So moving on to the solution. So this is your cross section at 200 by 250 mm. So can anyone tell me what is YT and YB? YT and YB. What is the value of YT and what is the value of YB?
125, sir.
125.
YT equal to YB.
Yes, so YT is equals to YB, and hence we will only directly use Y. Okay, and because of this, your sectional modulus ZT and ZB will also be equal. So we will directly use Z, okay, instead of ZT and ZB. So this is 125, okay, and the Z is equals to I by Y. Okay, I by Y. So we need to calculate I, right? We need to calculate I. So that is what we have done here, BD cube by 12. And then moving on to YT, 125 as you have told. And then calculation of sectional modulus ZT. ZT, ZB, that is equal to Z. That we have calculated. Eccentricity has been given as 40 mm, right? So self-weight of beam we have calculated next. Cross-sectional area into 24. That is WD. Next, bending moment due to dead load. We have calculated WD and the moment at midspan. Okay, remember we are calculating at midspan. So MD, we represent your bending moment as for dead load. So WD L square by 8 and we get it as 4.8 kilonewton meter. Moving on to live load, right? Live load is given to us as 1.2. So we need to calculate bending moment due to live load at midspan. So similarly as we have calculated for dead load, the same formula, but only instead of dead load, we have substituted live load. So you get your live load as 9.6 kilonewton meter. So all of the things that we require are we have calculated. Next, moving on to stresses at top fiber. So this is the first thing, stresses at top fiber, and then the second thing is stresses at bottom fiber. Okay, so stresses at top fiber. This is the formula that we will be using. So all of the things we have calculated, just you have to substitute. Okay, we have to substitute and we have to take care that all the units are same. You have to take care all the units are same. and then you can calculate the resultant stress. That is, at the top fiber it is 14.231 Newton per mm square. So because this is positive, right? Because this is positive, it is compressive in nature. Okay, it is compressive in nature at the top fiber. Moving on to bottom fiber, similarly we use the same formula, only the signs will be changing over here. Okay, signs will be changing. Substituting all these values, we get the stresses at bottom fiber as plus 5.76769. So this is also compressive in nature. So you can draw the stress diagrams. Okay, all the values are here. So this is for direct stress. This is for bending stress due to dead load. This is due to bending stress due to live load. And then this is stress due to your eccentric pre-stressing. Okay, eccentric pre-stressing. So I have told you have to draw stress diagrams for your for every numerical. So do not forget to draw your stress diagrams, irrespective of whether it is mentioned, whether it is mentioned in your question or not. So second case, case 2, we need to find out the magnitude of pre-stressing force. That is, we need to find capital P. We need to find capital P. Okay. So as per the case that they have given, so at bottom fiber, we need to balance our load, right? We need to balance our dead load and live load. Okay, we need to balance dead load plus live load at bottom fiber. So this is the bottom fiber formula, right? This is the bottom fiber formula. And to balance, okay, to balance this FB should be equal to 0. Okay, FB should be equal to 0 to balance your dead load and live load. So what we need to do, if we substitute 0 over here, these negative terms, okay, these negative terms, both of these negative terms, we have taken to the other side of the equal to sign. Okay, we have taken it to the right hand side. So it have become positive, right? Both of these terms have become positive. So we know all the other terms, right? We know eccentricity E is 40 mm. We know cross-sectional area, sectional modulus, bending moments. We know all of these things. We know the only unknown thing over here is your pre-stressing force P. Okay, the only unknown thing here is your pre-stressing force P. So substituting all the other things, you can solve for P, and the P value that you get is 176 kilonewton. Okay, 176 kilonewton. So the important thing you need to remember here is to balance your given dead load and live load, it should be equal to 0. Your stresses should be equal to 0. To balance your dead load and live load, this FB value should be equal to 0. And the rest all things is just substitution. Okay, so this is for case B. So I hope this is clear. And if this is clear, we will move on to the next numerical. Okay, so we have solved for case A and case B. All of this we have done. So moving on to the next numerical, that is your this we have done. Okay, so this numerical is nothing but our fourth numerical, okay, which we have already solved. So this is your fourth numerical. So moving on to ninth numerical, ninth. So here we have a rectangular beam 200 by 300 mm, and it is used over an effective span of 6 meters. Span is 6 meters, and the live load is 4 kilonewton per meter. Okay, and at the quarter span section of the beam, find the magnitude of. So all the things we need to calculate at our quarter span and not at a mid span. So remember this, the question, that is, we need to calculate all the things at your quarter span, okay, and not at the mid span. So your formula for bending moments will change. Okay, formula for your bending moments will change. Okay, to find the magnitude of concentric pre-stressing force. Okay, concentric, remember, we are dealing with concentric pre-stressing, meaning your CGS and your CGC are coinciding. Okay, CGS and your CGC are coinciding, or your tendon is at the centroid of your cross section, or your tendon is at the centroid of your cross section. That is what we mean by concentric pre-stressing. Okay, so concentric pre-stressing force is necessary for zero fiber stresses. Okay, zero fiber stresses meaning stress is 0 where it is 0 at the soffit. Okay, meaning FB is equals to 0. FB is equal to 0 when the beam is fully loaded. When the beam is fully loaded. So what do we mean by fully loaded? Which loads we need to consider when it is fully loaded? Can anyone just give an idea? By fully loaded, which load we need to consider? under this condition. When the beam is fully loaded. What do we mean by fully loaded? Okay, so when it is fully loaded, meaning we have to consider dead load as well as live load. Okay, we have to consider dead load as well as live load, meaning it is at service stage. Okay, service stage or at a working stage. Service stage or working stage, meaning both the loads are acting on the beam, so it is fully loaded. So remember this. So when it is given as fully loaded, we need to consider both dead load as well as live load. So this is your first case. Moving on to your second case, it is an eccentric pre-stressing. Okay, eccentric pre-stressing, and the force is located at 100 mm. Okay, 100 mm from the bottom of the beam. Okay, from the bottom. So eccentricity is not given. We have to calculate eccentricity. And to nullify, okay, nullify the bottom fiber stresses, meaning FB here in the second case also your FB value is 0. Okay, remember in your second case also your FB value will be equal to 0. So I hope the problem statement is clear. I hope all the things are clear over here so that we can move on to the solution. So this is your cross section. Okay, cross section, and because it is a rectangular cross section, your YT will be equal to YB. So if this is 300, it will be 150, right? So YT and YB are equal, and they are equal to 150 mm. So cross-sectional area you can calculate. Then your moment of inertia you can calculate, BD cube by 12. Then sectional modulus I by Y we have calculated. Then next thing that you need to calculate is the self-weight of your beam. So cross-sectional area into density of concrete. We have calculated self-weight of beam. And then live load of beam, the live load of beam which they have given. What we will do is we will add both of them, okay, dead load plus live load, and we will consider the total load as capital W. Okay, we will consider the total load as capital W. Okay, no need of calculating separately for dead load and then live load. We can calculate, we can add both of these, and we can calculate using this total load itself. So at quarter span, okay, at quarter span, either you can calculate by the previous method, right? Moments at the quarter span by the previous method. Let me just show you. So you can either use this method, okay? You can either use this method wherein you draw a cross section, right? You draw an XX line, and then you calculate the reactions. You calculate the reactions, and after you calculate the reactions, you calculate the moment. Okay, at this section or at this XX section, you can calculate the moment. Okay, you can either use this method or you can use this formula directly, okay, which I am showing you now. So instead of that, you can directly use this formula, which is M is equals to 3 by 32 W into L squared. So if you use this formula, you can directly calculate what is the moment at that quarter span section. Okay, you can use this formula, or you can go by the conventional method of solving your beam. So both of these will give you the same answer. So 3 by 32 into W, which is your total load, 5.44, we have substituted, and the span is 6 meters. We have substituted, and we have got the bending moment at your quarter span. Okay, remember it is at quarter span. So this is your first case, case 1, wherein we need to calculate your pre-stressing force, right? Pre-stressing force, and it is given that at your soffit, right? At the soffit, there are 0 stresses. That is, your FB value is equal to 0. And because it is concentric, right? Concentric, your E value will be equal to 0. So in your first case, as they have mentioned, it is a concentric tendon. So your E value is 0. So your third term will be equal to 0 because of this, right? Your third term, which is PE by Y, PE by Z. So because of the E is 0, so this entire term will be equal to 0. So we have only 2 terms over here. So taking this negative term to your other side, right hand side, so it will be P by A is equals to M by Z, and then substituting all the values, the only unknown value is P. So you can calculate P value, that is 367.2 kilonewton. So I hope this is clear. So moving on to the second case, wherein we have an eccentric tendon, and the eccentricity is 50 mm. So they have mentioned that from the soffit of the beam, right? This is your beam. From the soffit of your beam, your eccentric tendon is located at right? It is located at 100 mm from the soffit of your beam, and the entire this YB is how much? It is 150. So 150 minus 100 will give you your eccentricity, right? This is 50. So this is your eccentricity 50, which we have calculated. Then this that they have mentioned that at the bottommost fiber there is zero stress. There is zero stress. So similarly, as you have calculated in the previous case, similarly you can substitute all the values and you can calculate your pre-stressing force. So that is equal to 183.6 kilonewton. So I hope your ninth numerical is clear. So if you have any doubts or if you want to ask anything, you are free to ask. Or else we will move on to the last numerical. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it was very easy, right? Very easy. So I think this will come for at least 10 marks, right? So which has two cases. So make sure you do not do a mistake while solving, and do not use bending moment at mid-span. Okay, that is the main thing over here. You have to calculate it at quarter span. So that is one twist over here. Do not make a mistake while calculating the bending moments. Do not use a WL squared by 8, right? Do not use this WL squared by 8. This is at mid-span. So that is one thing you need to remember. So moving on to your last numerical. So can anyone read the problem statement for me, please? Can anyone read the problem statement? So first, Sri Narayan has already done that. Can anyone else read it for me?
The simply supported beam of PSC spanning over 10 meter is of rectangular section 500 mm wide by 750 mm deep. The beam is pre-stressed by the parabolic cable having an eccentricity of 200 mm at the center of span and 0 at the end supports. The effective force in the cable is 1600 kilonewton. If the beam supports a total uniformly distributed load of 40 kilonewton per meter, which includes the self weight of the beam. A. Evaluate the extreme fiber stresses at midspan section. B. Calculate the force required in the cable having the same eccentricity to balance a total load of 50 kilonewton per meter on the beam.
Okay, thank you. So the first thing that they have given is it is a PSC simply supported beam, okay, and the span is 10 meters. That is your capital N. And it is a rectangular section of 500 by 750 mm. Then it is pre-stressed by parabolic cable. Okay, remember it is not a straight cable, it is a parabolic cable. And the eccentricity is 200 mm at the center span, and it is 0 at the supports. Okay, 0 at the supports. So let me just scroll on. Okay, there is no diagram. Let me just draw a diagram for you. So suppose this is your beam. Suppose this is your PSC beam. Okay, so this is your CGC. And then it has a parabolic cable. Okay, it has a parabolic cable in this fashion. So the eccentricity is 0 at our supports, right? It is 0 at our supports, and at midspan it is 200 mm. At midspan, so this value is 200 mm. So this is what is meant by a parabolic cable. So that is what is used over here. The effective force in the cable is 1600 kilonewton. Okay, P value they have given. Directly effective they have given, effective pre-stressing force. So if the beam supports a total uniformly distributed load of 40 kilonewton meter, so you can observe that it is a very large force, right? Very large UDL. So it includes your self weight. So okay, because it includes the self weight of your beam, so it is capital W. So that so because of that the value seems to be large, because it is including your self weight as well as your live load. Next thing, so what we need to evaluate is we need to evaluate the extreme fiber stresses at the midspan section. Okay, we need to calculate FT and FB at your midspan. So easy. First case is very easy. So second thing is calculate the force required in the cable having the same eccentricity to balance a total load of 50 kilonewton on the beam. So case B we will look into after we solve the first case. So in the second case also we need what we need to calculate. We need to calculate a P value. Okay, we need to calculate the force required. So coming to your solution part, I hope this problem statement is clear. So all this part is given. Okay, all of this is given, right? And this is your cross-sectional area calculation, and this is yt is equals to yb is equals to y, because it is a rectangular section. So yt is equals to yb, that is equal to 375 mm. You have calculated a sectional modulus. So this is one more method of calculating your sectional modulus, wherein I have substituted I value here, that is BD cube by 12, and this is Y value, which is D by 2. So just simplifying this, we get Z is equals to sectional modulus is equals to BD square by 6. So instead of calculating I and substituting, so you can calculate a sectional modulus directly by this formula. So you can adopt any of the method. You can directly calculate using this formula, or you can solve by calculating I value and then dividing it by Y. So either of the method you can solve. Both of them will give you the same answer. So 46.87. So the span is given as 10 meters. The total load is 40 kilonewton per meter. So now we are calculating the bending moment at the midspan. We are calculating bending moment at this midspan. So it will be WL square by 8, right? UDL. So we know it the BMD will be in this fashion. So it will be maximum at the center, and this value is WL squared by 8. So W into L squared by 8, we have got the bending moment as 500 kilonewton meter. So now we have all the things required to calculate the bottom fiber and top fiber stresses. So we will calculate the stresses at top fiber first. So this is the formula which we are using, right? P by A plus M by Z minus PE by Z. So substituting all of this, we have all the values. So substituting all of these values. So remember this E, right? With this value of E. So we have to substitute it as 200, because at the central section, your eccentricity is how much? Here it is 200 mm. So you need to substitute 200 over here. So if they ask you at quarter span, okay, if they ask you at quarter span, you need to substitute this value, okay, eccentricity, which is over here. And if they ask you the stresses at this supports, so eccentricity will be equal to 0 at your supports. So based on where they ask, you have to substitute your respective eccentricity. So that is what we have done here, and we have calculated. So this is a positive 8.1 Newton per mm squared. This is your resultant stress at top fiber at your midspan. Similarly, you can calculate at bottom fiber. So it is 0.42 Newton per mm square. So this is also positive. So what you can do is, after this, you can draw your stress distribution diagram. So remember to draw your stress distribution diagram. So moving on to your last. So this is your case B, wherein we need to find your pre-stressing force P. Okay, we need to find this pre-stressing force P. So let P is equals to the force in cable to balance a total load of 50 kilonewton per meter. So previously, so the total load was 40, right? So the total load was 40, but now what we will consider, we will consider the total load as 50 instead of 40. So the eccentricity should be considered same eccentricity, or the cable profile is same. So no change in that. So consider the stresses at the bottom fiber should be 0 to balance the loads. So they have told us that we should balance the loads, right? So to balance the loads, so at bottom fiber, the stresses should be equal to 0 always. Okay. So this is the condition which you need to follow. So by substituting all the values, right, we know the bending moment, right? So you can substitute that. So which is substituted here. You can see WL squared by 8, right? Bending moment. Your P value is unknown. Your P value is unknown. Eccentricity is 200. Eccentricity is 200. Then A value we have calculated. Sectional modulus will be the same. So substituting all this, that only unknown here you can see is P. So solving for P, you can simplify the solution this equation, and you can solve for P. And the P value you can see it is 3,125 kilonewton. Okay. So this part is just a simplification. The main thing that you need to remember is this statement. So to balance the force, the stress at your bottom fiber should be equal to 0. So if you remember this condition, then all the things are just substitution and simplification. So this is regarding your numericals for your stress concept. Okay, stress concept. So if you have any doubts regarding any of the numericals, you can let me know. So after this, so we will be moving on to your next concept, that is your force concept in the next class. Okay, in the next class, when everyone is present, we will look into your force concept. So in the exam, so your majority of the times stress concept numericals are asked. So we have concentrated more on stress concept. So the next concept is your force concept, and after that we will be looking into your load balancing concept. So these two are important, but not so much importance with respect to your exam point of view. So I have told you in the exam, external exam, mostly they will ask you a numerical from your stress concept. So if there is any doubt regarding any of the things in your stress concept, you are free to ask now. Yes, Vinayak Pujari has raised their hand.
No doubt, sir. No doubt.
Okay.
So in first sum,
Yes.
in first sum, YT and YB are equal, means they are 400 and 400.
Which numerical you are talking about?
So first sum. So
First sum.
yesterday's, day before yesterday's class.
This one.
So yes, YT and YB are equal.
Yes.
So 400 and 400 it is.
Yes, it is 400 and 400. You can observe here.
Yeah, but they are by different, means the formula is like P by A plus or minus ML by I YT.
Yes, here.
So stress
Here.
formula. So we can use this formula also, na? Like P
Yeah,
by
yeah,
A plus M by Z.
yeah, that is what. So instead of substituting this, right? Instead of substituting this, what we have done is we have substituted it as Z. So Z is equal to what? Z is equal to I by Y, right? It is equal to I by Y. So that is what you have
So
substituted here.
it is okay if we solve by any method, no?
Yeah, you can solve using this formula, or else you can solve by substituting Z. Both will give you the same answer.
Okay, so thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other thing? Any other doubt if you have?
Sir, for first internals, problems from stress concept and force concept both will come, sir.
It depends upon how much syllabus we cover, right? I'll try to cover force and also your load balancing.
Okay, sir.
So at least first module we are trying to cover.
Yes, sir.
So your force concept and load balancing is not much, okay? Only 2 to 3 numericals are there. So it will be over.
Together, sir? Hello?
Yes.
Together there are 2 or 3, sir?
No. In force concept, I think there are only 3. And in load balancing, I think there are 3 to 4. And then your last concept is your pressure line and Kern point. So in that, I think we have 3. So still, I think you have 9 to 10 numericals which needs to be solved. Yeah, we will discuss the concept first, and then we will look into the numericals of each of the concept. So they are very easy. No need to worry. Very easy. Very similar to your what the stress concept is. So if the stress concept is clear to you, remaining concepts will be also clear. So no need to worry. Only the design, all right, your third module, design for flexure, design for shear. So that is a bit complicated. Rest all units are very easy.
Yes.
Okay. Any other doubt if anyone has? Your session is open for you.